Um, okay, a little bit of information about Reading Muhlenberg. We are a half-day about system. We have about 1,200 students in our building. As Vince said, about 70% of our students are Latino, 20% Caucasian, 10% African American. We have about a 54% male, 46% female split. 87% of our students are economically disadvantaged, and if you read the news, I believe 2 years ago, Reading was identified as the highest poverty rate city in the country. About 42% of our students come from homes of poverty. That basically, I think, translates into $21,000 for 4 people in a home. So we have a lot of challenges. Probably more challenging than anything else is the transiency of our population. We have 2 elementary centers in our city, and they have 100% turnover of their student population in a given school year. So getting our kids, keeping our kids, and completing with them the things we're trying to do can be very difficult because our kids move around a lot. One of the fun things they like to do is move back home with family in Puerto Rico or wherever, and miss like 20 weeks of school and then all of a sudden magically come back to us. We'll have kids who enroll, withdraw, and re-enroll 6 times during a school year. And yet we still manage to have an 89% pass rate in our Noctis. So we were able to stay ahead of the curve for quite a few years, and now I think we're all doing a better job, and that's kudos to everybody. But we finally this year slid back to where we're right at the state average with our Noctis scores. So I've challenged my staff continually to try to stay above that line, so we're working hard to do that. But we have challenges to be able to do that. My staff does a great job. What I am here to talk specifically with you today about is our technical academy program. And there was a handout in the back there. Did everybody get a copy of this? If not, maybe put your hand up and we can make sure you get one. This is probably the most exciting thing I've done in my career. And I have to give a lot of kudos to a retired director, Dr. Bob Lees, who recently retired from Berks Career and Technology Center, because he spent a lot of time on this himself, along with our partners, to make this happen. But it is a really exciting program, something that is taking us well beyond the old days of VOTEC and forward into this new thing that we have called Career and Tech Ed. And I think it's a model that can be replicated around the state. I'll talk about how I think that can happen after I describe for you a little bit about what the program involves and how we run the program. So hang in there. I'm going to give you some pointers and maybe how you can approach this within your own communities. Basically, what I'll do is walk you through this a little bit. You can see right from the front page that it is a partnership between the career centers in Berks County. We have 2 career centers, the Berks Career and Technology Center and the Reading Muhlenberg Career and Technology Center. As the name of my school implies, we serve the students from the Reading and the Muhlenberg school districts, and BCTC serves the other 16 districts in Berks County. They have 2 centers, one located in Ole, one in Leesport, and my center is located in Muhlenberg Township. So it's a partner between those 4 institutions, but it initially began as a partnership between the career centers and Reading Area Community College. We do have a very prominent community college in our community. They do a lot of technical training, which made this partnership all that much easier, because at the basis of this partnership is working down a pathway for a student to work down a pathway towards an associate's degree. And right now it's primarily in programs where we have programming at the secondary level, and where they likewise have programming at the post-secondary level. So when you look at the specific programs here, you'll see business management, which aligns well with my IT applications program. And then you see computer technology, which aligns well with my web design with Berks. I think they have an entrepreneurial program. They have a programming, IT programming. and that's all outlined on here. And then mechatronics is another one. Berks calls their program mechatronics. I call mine engineering and automation technology. And health medical records, and we're looking at expanding it to the precision machining field. So we're hoping to do that through that innovation grant if we ever get this budget settled, and we can find out if we won that grant or not. But that's how we're hoping to fund that expansion. So what you are looking at here, and I'll explain a little bit about what happens. First of all, students have to apply to this, and the best way I can describe it that probably will help you understand it is that this is a honors track career and tech ed program. It is not for the student that we typically see in our career centers, which I would call the career track, but it's for those students who are really high-flying academic students. Because in their 10th grade year, when they come into this program, they are taking college courses as a 10th grader. So essentially what happens is they enroll in this program, they come into our career centers, and my teachers in those programs teach the college course content. They use the same textbook, they use the same syllabus, they give the same midterm exam, which gets shipped over to us to administer. They give the same final exam, and my teacher submits that back to the college. Students are graded, they're given a transcript. So essentially these students are students at Reading or Muhlenberg, they're students at Reading Muhlenberg Career and Technology Center, and they're students at RAC all at the same time. They have IDs for all three institutions. My students can go to RAC, use the library, go into the bookstore. They can use all the services at RAC as a student, as a 10th grader. So they take in 10th grade and 11th grade a course sequence that I think if you look at the brochure, in most cases it's darker. If you look at one of the blocks, I don't know which one you might be looking at, but right in the center of the page, computer technology, there's a section that's a little darker. Those courses in the dark section would be taken at the Career Center in 10th and 11th grade. And the credits you see would be awarded there in that total. Then the light section is administered during their senior year. And what our students do during the senior year is they actually go to RAC. So while they're still going to their high school, for half their day, 3 days a week, they go to the RAC campus, they take those courses at RAC, fall and spring, and then the other 2 days a week they come back to the Career Center. So the reason we designed it that way was because our kids, we feel, need that push to go to college, to experience it, to feel it, to become comfortable with it. A lot of my kids are first generation students going into college. So they don't have parents that can explain to them what it's like and what their experience is going to be like and help them in that transition to college. So this enables them while they're still in school, while we can hold their hand a little bit and you know, kind of put our arm around them to experience that and become comfortable with it. The college loves that because it creates a pathway to their door. So the whole idea of this program is for students to hopefully leave us and then transition to RAC to finish up their associate's degree. Now you might be wondering what the cost is. RAC gives us those first 2 years, the section that you see in the dark part, they give us those credits to those kids for free. Their anticipation is that when they come there as a senior, they then have to pay for it, but both Dr. Kraft now and myself, we pick up those costs. We have some creative ways of doing that, but we pay for that at this point. So essentially the credits you see there are free to the students up to the point of graduation. And then the reason RAC is doing this is because then they figure, you know, there's a better chance of this student actually enrolling at our campus for their freshman year when they actually graduate from high school. So that's essentially how the program is laid out, how it works. I'll give you an idea of the kind of student that we're getting through this program. Out of the senior class of this year at Reading High, the top 10 students academically, 5 of them are enrolled in this program. They're Reading Muhlenberg kids. Reading will graduate a class of about 700 kids this year. So when we're talking 5 of the top 10 academic kids in their class, we're talking about some real high flyers. In fact, we're being met with a little bit of resistance over this, I think, because their valedictorian this year is going to be a student in this program. And in all honesty, he's not going to go to RAC. He's going to get probably a full ride scholarship somewhere for a 4-year program, and rightfully so. He should take that and run with it. But it's going to lead to more students in general going into the program at RAC. So we are getting some really, really high-end academic students that are noticing this program, that are enrolling in it, and taking advantage of it. Now, the last partner we added to this was Bloomsburg University. And I know Lehigh has a partnership with Bloomsburg. This kind of fell in our laps because RAC was negotiating a partnership with Bloomsburg. And when Bloomsburg became aware of this Berks Technical Academy program, they were really excited about that because it aligns perfectly with their technical leadership program. So essentially, a student now, beyond that associate's degree, because we know a lot of parents, they want a bachelor's degree for their kids. So now, through this program, a student can seamlessly transition as a junior at Bloomsburg, at RAC's campus, without ever having to leave Reading, Pennsylvania, take full-time or part-time courses in class or online, and ultimately get a degree in technical leadership. The whole idea of the bachelor's degree is to layer those supervisory, management, business courses on top of the technical skills the student has, to make them more employable as management employees. So that can all happen at RAC, and with the free credits, with the credit price they'll pay for the associates, and the reduced price actually for Bloomsburg, it can happen at a price less than $20,000 for a bachelor's degree. So that is a really exciting program. The next step with this program is going to not look so much like this, but this is good. If you look at the programs here, I have 31 programs at my school. So there's a very limited number of programs that are impacted by this. And the next step is going to be looking at all of our programs and having the college award 18 technical credits to a student for, say, let's passing the NOC to get advanced, and then giving them that credit and having the student transition to, again, into probably in a business track to get some of those management courses, business courses, to be able to, climb the career ladder a little bit faster. So we're excited about that. We're dealing with a faculty issue and giving away those credits, but that'll create another pathway for the other 90% of my students who could take advantage of that. So as far as how does this work, how could this potentially work in your community? I don't know what partnerships you have with your community college. I only know if you have a community college in your area. But it really began as a simple conversation. It began as a conversation where the president of RAC, who was directly involved in this, wanted to see more of our kids coming onto their campus and taking their technical programs. It began as a way for us to see kids getting an advanced degree beyond their experience in high school. And it just began as a simple conversation, a phone call and sitting down and talking about what can we do? What can we do for kids? And it took about 2 years for us to actually have something formal to start marketing to students, something that made sense for both parties, and something that now in Berks County I think we can be very proud of, that our kids have this opportunity. So that's the Berks Technical Academy.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. As Vince said, I'm from the Upper Bucks County Technical School, and Bucks County is an affluent county. The upper end is fairly affluent, but we also serve the city of Quakertown. So in the end, our poverty level is getting close to 30%, 35%, I think it is. The center part of the county is really the most affluent area. But the three directors from the three technical schools, lower, middle, and upper, we are really a tight group, and we work together on just about everything. So that includes what I'm about to describe to you here. And there's going to be some overlap with what Jerry talked about, because the southeast region of Pennsylvania, I would have to say all of the directors are a tight group. I mean, we meet on a regular basis, and we take notes from what each other's doing. We copy, we steal shamelessly, and some of the ideas I want to talk about are actually generated right from Berks County. But we have, in a word, I'm going to call this a super-articulation agreement. But I shouldn't say that because it's not quite an agreement yet. We're close. We're very close. I came, before coming to Upper Bucks, I was in Lehigh County, so I was familiar with the articulation agreements they were developing with L-Tri-C. Before that, 15 years in Montgomery County, so we had done a lot of work with the community college there. When I came to Upper Bucks, there were a few challenges. One of them was enrollment. And right in my first couple weeks of being there, I think I was accidentally invited to a superintendent's meeting. And the superintendent's meeting, it includes the superintendents from the 13 districts in Bucks County, and the meeting was run by the president of the community college, and I heard Dr. Sandblatt say, we have a problem. We have a stigma problem because we're a community college, and we have an enrollment problem. So I went up to her after the meeting and I said, would you be willing to meet with the 3 tech school directors, because I think we share a similar problem and we think we have a solution that may interest you. So she said yes, and we had lunch, and I guess I'm close enough to retirement that it's easier for me to just ask some questions that I might not have asked a few years ago. So I said to the president of the college, I said, the articulation agreements that we have are great. Dave has done a great job. Our guidance department has done a great job, but we're not really seeing a lot of payback on this. We're not seeing a lot of students take advantage of the articulation agreements. I think maybe we had 10 students last year, and some of my staff is here, so maybe 10 students. It hasn't really affected the enrollment. It doesn't seem to be impacting the parents. It just doesn't seem to be doing what we had hoped that it would do. And as I talked to parents, it became apparent to me that one of the problems was that it's great to say that you can get these credits, but there's no end game. There's no end game. We're not telling them how to use them, where to use them, how to put your child's education together with it. So the question that I asked the president of the community college was, why wouldn't you develop a degree, an associate's degree, for technical students who are getting a technical education that we can document competency in, but why wouldn't you develop a degree for any student who can meet certain criteria, in which you would give them up to 30 credits for the time at the career and technical school? So it was about a year before I got an answer on that one. I will be honest, there was not an immediate response to that. But over the course of time, we kept knocking on the door, and there were questions that we had to answer. You know, why? Why would we do that? Why would we give credits for, we can see giving, say, welding credits because we have a welding program, but why would we give carpentry credits if we don't have a carpentry program? So my argument was that you give people credit for prior learning experience. And essentially, we're that and more. We've got what you would be looking for in terms of converting experience and education into credit. We've got the CTE time. We've got industry recognized certifications. We've got NOCTI and NIMS and others that are certifying through third-party assessments that our students are competent. So why wouldn't you look at this as a package and develop a new degree? And my suggestion is a degree in entrepreneurship, because a lot of our students, we're giving them great technical skills. We're doing some things, of course, in the soft skills, but we're not really giving them a business education. So many of these students will work for a period of time in their field that they're studying with us, and then they're going to want to move up the ladder. They're going to become managers. Some will become business owners. So what a great service to Bucks County if you could somehow parlay what we're doing into with 30 credits in business, you know, some HR, some payroll, some of those kinds of things that would help students get started. What a great service to the county if we could do that. And slowly and surely, there started to be some interest from the community college. They actually started to ask to meet with us to develop these ideas. So As we talked, more and more people were pulled into the discussion. We started developing a really good relationship with our Workforce Investment Board, now the Workforce Development Board. We brought in the 3 chambers of commerce from Bucks County. Up, just like the schools, there's upper, middle, lower chamber of commerce. Now we've got more and more people at the table, and people are starting to throw ideas that are making this an even better proposal. Well, if we did do that for the secondary students, could that work for adults as well? What about a student who graduated from high school 3 years ago, but they meet all the criteria that we're looking at here? Could we bring them in? So, the pool of eligible candidates has been getting bigger and bigger. As of last week, we met with some folks from the community college, and we've really narrowed this down to program completers who are advanced in their third-party assessment, to have industry-based or industry-recognized credentials, and have some type of work-based experience. And of course, that may happen for some students in co-op programs. It may not happen, but the beauty of this is it doesn't have to happen while they're in high school. They may get out and work a summer or a year after high school and still be able to parlay that into the package that the community college is looking to see to make them an eligible candidate for this. I'm going to temporarily call it the entrepreneurship degree. So there is now a lot of excitement in Bucks County, but there were still some questions. Paying for some of these things was a big question. So the community college said, look, we're pretty much on board with 24 credits. We think, it's not written in stone yet. We think we can do 24 for what you're doing at the school, but we'd like to see a 6-credit commitment from the students while they're in your school. And those are going to be they're going to be required to pay tuition to take those. So right around the time this is being said, we hear about the innovation grant. So now, keeping in mind that we've been working on this, this group of people has really become a cohesive group. We get an opportunity to write the grant over the 4th of July holiday, no less. But we write the grant, and in that grant, we purposefully aim 60% of that money toward tuition at the community college. Now, this is really getting some excitement, because now we're talking, if we get the grant, we're talking $750,000 in tuition to be spread across 3 technical schools for those 6-credit classes that the students would need. So now everyone is listening. The Chamber of Commerce is very excited because they're saying, well, what about, what's our role if this happens? What are we doing for you? What's business and industry doing? And we're looking at that and saying, the community college will be counting on you to validate the work experience. So if people are working, already working and looking to get into this program for the community college, that's where the chambers of commerce come in. One of the, I don't want to call it an obstacle, but it was something that had to be considered, was this teaching staff at the community college. Are we actually stepping on people's toes by doing this? And the answer, when everyone really thought through this, was no. What we're doing is we're creating jobs at the community college. Our goal here is to increase the enrollment at the community college. Yes, the same student might have come and taken 60 credits with you, but would you rather have 10 students taking 30 credits or 1 student taking 60? And that's sort of, persuaded everyone involved that this is something that we really need to take seriously. So we put our money where our mouths were. We said, if we get the grant, this is the way we're going to roll with it. And let's see, what did I leave out here? That's coming. That's coming. We have a plan for that if the innovation grant comes through, of course, our first year. Yeah, if the money comes through, we have a marketing plan for this as well.
And the person that you're working with at the college just joined our general advisory committee.
Right.
And so she has expressed a commitment to this, and we now have a general advisory committee waiting for her to report out at each minute and see progress.
So we see this as a win-win-win. You know, it's a win for the employers, it's a win for the employees, and it's a win for the taxpayers, because this, you know, the taxpayers are supporting the community college and of course the 13 districts and 3 tech schools. And you know, anyone who has to work with the budget can tell you that if you don't fill your classrooms, you're not providing education in an efficient manner. You know, if you have enough empty seats, you know, the cost per student, that cost per seat goes up and up and up. So one of the goals here is to increase our enrollment, and we think that if we have a game plan, a college degree, and a game plan in mind, that the community who may not have taken career and technical education seriously or may not have understood it in the past is going to look a little harder at what we're doing, because a year after high school, or for the high flyers, it's possible to get this done, you know, while you're in high school, or a good part of it. So that is the win-win, and we are close. Of course, we are counting on the budget being passed and the grant money coming in. But even if it doesn't, the other part of this that is already a win is the relationship. We have in Bucks County what is an unprecedented relationship between all the major players in workforce development, and it's really a nice spot to be sitting in right now. We're working together. I hope to find out this week if I have been chosen to be on the Workforce Development Board. So that's something that I went for, because I thought, you know, you got to stay in touch, and you got to keep communicating. But I think that covers it, and I want to leave some time for questions if there are any. No, is that good? Nice. All right, thank you.
Career focus and career planning. Now, we have career and technical schools here. Do we have any public schools, academics? Okay. Across the board in terms of schools, how are we measuring success? No, wait, one at a time.
SATs, go to college.
Test scores, correct? That's how are we, CTCs? We're measuring ourselves based on our NOCTI scores. Jerry talked about it. We're very proud of our NOCTI scores. But we have to look beyond that. Really, how we should be measuring our success is, what are our kids doing after graduation? That's more important than whether or not they had advanced on their NOCTI scores, or whether or not they were advanced or basic, whatever, on their Keystone scores. So we are making a concerted effort for career focus and career planning, so these kids know what they're going to do, have a plan to get there, and then can be successful after they leave our building. So why is this good for our students? First of all, and what you're hearing here with the articulation agreements as well, is we're saving them time, we're saving them money. Because the last thing that you want to have happen is our kids graduate without any kids, whether it's at the high schools or at our schools. And let me move back a second. What we know is the average college student, degree student, is leaving college with about $33,000 worth of debt. Okay? They're getting degrees for jobs that aren't available, which means now they're coming back to our communities and they're taking jobs that don't require their degree. So they're working at Best Buy, they're working at Panera Bread, they're working at Target. So now, about 10 to 20 years ago, it used to be that if you came out there with that degree, you could still get a good job, even if it wasn't with your degree. You could get a job that paid about $45,000 a year. That's not the case anymore. Now they're getting low-wage jobs with $33,000 worth of debt, which means now they can't participate in the economy. They can't rent homes. They can't buy cars. They can't move out. I'm making sure my girls have career focus and career planning, because they are moving out. So what do we have? We have these students, these graduates that are leaving college with a degree that isn't paying them anything, and they are in debt, they can't perform in the economy, and what does that leave us with? And I don't have my general normal props up here, but I can show you, if you can see it. It's the walking debt. You heard zombie apocalypse earlier, you were talking about it. The walking debt. And what you can see on this picture is CTC students on top of that RV looking down at all those individuals wandering around without a plan, but not our kids. And we need to focus on that career focus, career planning, so that we can continue to have success for our kids. So we're saving them time, we're saving them money. We're making them employable. Now, how do we do that in a CTC setting, or how have we done that? I've got a unique perspective because I've been in 2 CTCs in the last 3 years. That doesn't sound good, does it? Just jumping around. Anybody have an opening? But I've been able to see this work in 2 different schools, where the first part about it, and you got to be flexible, is the career exploration model. Now, BAVTS initially had a rotation program, and I think LCTI has a rotation program, where the first-year students go in, they go through 4 different classes, and then they make a choice at the end of 45 days to pick their class. But we went a little bit further with that at Bethlehem a couple years ago with starting a whole career exploration program for freshmen. So Bethlehem School District would send students to us from Liberty and Freedom, and they would spend an entire year rotating through classes so that they can make an informed decision. Now, what does that do? A, it helps them out because they can find the class that they actually like, but and more, just as important, making sure they find things that they don't want to do. Because oftentimes kids come to us, they think they know that they want to be an auto technician or be in culinary arts, and then they realize they're doing it, and they're like, I don't want to do this. How many kids go to college because our guidance counselors send them there, and they go into a major, and they realize, I don't like this at all. So 2 years in, 3 years in, they're changing their major, and next thing you know, they're on the 6-year plan. We don't want that to happen. So again, we want to save them time, save them money, make sure they make an informed decision. So career exploration. Now, so that's what we do with the 9th graders. We've done that in 2 different buildings. Career guidance for all students. Now, at MCTI, we hired this young lady over here, Angela Thomas, a career guidance counselor. We did this before the state even had an innovation grant for career guidance because we recognized that this would be of value to our institution and our kids. So Angela meets with every single student to make sure they have a plan, and then throughout each year, they are on track to meet it. And if they have questions about, what do I do now with this degree? How do I get these credits? Angela works with them. Angela sets up a lot of those things. So it's very important that you have somebody in your institution, your organization, that can help out with that and can dedicate that time. And then, of course, there's school-to-work activities. We're all doing co-op, internships, job shadows, as much school-to-work activities as possible. We're doing the increased certifications, dual enrollment credits, articulations. And at MCTI, this is our first year of rolling out an employability skills certificate, which we developed, not a canned one that you can buy for soft skills, because all of those are theoretical. That's going on a computer, reading through courses, and then answering questions. Well, anybody can look good on paper as an employee, but if they're actually on the job, they can stink. So we build a program that is measured qualitative and quantitative. And at the end, they basically have a NOCTI test, a practical application NOCTI test that was developed by partners in education at a company called Biospectra. But those kids, and again, it'll be a small population because if everybody's getting that cert, it doesn't mean a hill of beans. But there'll be a small percentage of kids that will come out with this employability skills certificate, and it is endorsed by the Greater Monroe County Chamber of Commerce. So, career focus and career planning. Why is this good for your institution? Oh, I'll tell you. Number one, it increases enrollment. How many are struggling with enrollment? Just one? You're struggling with enrollment? It increases enrollment. And I got to say, not everybody's happy about an exploratory program, but you get kids into these classrooms, and they go around, and you know what happens? Low-enrolled programs are no longer low-enrolled. Programs that are on probation are no longer on probation. Programs that have been on half-time are changed from half-time to full. And those kids, the 9th graders in both institutions, stay. So when you get them in that freshman year, they come back. The retention rate for those kids is in the upper 90%. And that's throughout the remainder of their career at the CTC as well. With that, they also bring increased attendance. Our 9th graders have been the highest rated attendance, or have the highest percentage across the board in our buildings. And then with attendance, do you guys know what happens when your attendance increases? Something goes down. Excuse me? Discipline goes down. At MCTI, we've seen discipline decrease 43% 2 years ago, and it decreased another 24% last year. So when you have attendance going up, discipline going down, enrollment is up, it's also because you're increasing your retention. So those kids are staying. Just to give you an idea about increased enrollment, at BAVTS, after we rolled this out, we were hovering around 1,100 students, so maybe a little less than 1,100. Over the last 2 years, they've been upwards of 1,400 students. At MCTI, when I got there, we had 910 students. When I left, 989. The ninth grade program in particular at MCTI, when I got there, was a traditional enrollment. It was a ninth grader, if they wanted auto tech, they came to auto tech. But if you didn't get that first choice, you didn't come to MCTI. So we increased we increased in the enrollment because we could go rotation, everybody could come. We went from 80 to 108 students the first year. This year we have 140 ninth graders in our building. Well, their building. Sorry, it's not my building anymore. So we talked about why it's good for the students, good for the institution. How am I doing on time, Jerry? I didn't set my alarm. Okay. Why is it good for the community? Well, I don't really tell you why it's good for the community. Because, A, you can increase or stabilize your own population. In Monroe County, they used to say that the reason the enrollment was dropping at MCTI was because their populations were decreasing. But I ask you, those of you in CTCs, are there not students at those schools that belong in our building that aren't coming? So don't tell me about decreasing in population. There's kids that belong in our building and they need to be there. But if they want to increase their population, if they want to maintain their tax base, they need to be focusing on career planning for these kids so that they make the right decisions, so that when they get those degrees, they stay in your area. They don't leave because they got to get a job somewhere else. What I've been saying at MCTI, and I will be saying it at Bavitz again, learn here, earn here, stay here. Because if that tax base continues to drop, that affects every one of our institutions. That affects the high schools, because if the enrollments are dropping there, the populations are dropping, they're going to decrease jobs. And you know what jobs are available right now in your local areas? The trades. So if you're not supporting that, if you're not encouraging kids to attend the CTCs, you're being a little short-sighted. You have to be thinking about the long-term effects on your community. And also, when you're talking about community, when we're doing a good job with those kids and they're staying in the community, they're employed, then other things also happen similar to discipline. What also drops in your communities? Crime. So those are other expenses that start to go down because you don't have to focus on those services or pay for those services in your area. So we got to be thinking about big picture when it comes to career focus and career planning. And the other thing that we need to do in our building is also celebrate that, is that we need to do a better job of tracking those students. So yeah, we want them to be successful. We've got to do the career focus. We've got to do the career planning. And the state asks us to do a 1-year out survey, but really we should be doing a survey 5 years out. That gives a student an opportunity to go on to a 4-year degree, so now we can track to see where they're at. So that's my spiel about career focus and career planning. Thank you.